What's up and welcome back. I'm John Starkmack from MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Our Little Secret, which I really thought was going to be like a pregnancy movie, but it's not. I was so disappointed. I was like, oh, thank God Lindsay Lohan's going to do a pregnancy movie. It's going to be like a baby at Christmas time. No, no, that's not it. So this is a Lindsay Lohan Netflix movie, which I in like on in two. There are two things here. First of all, I love the fact that Lindsay's acting again. So instantly, I'm removing eligibility of F as a grade because I'm appreciating the fact that we are trying to bring her career back. Now, her last two movies I've given sort of around like a C, just for point of reference. And the first film that she did was like with like Chase Crawford, or Chase, what was his name? Chase from Glee. It was the one from Glee. Not Gossip Girl. Chase Crawford is Gossip Girl and The Boys. The other one. I can't think of his name now. Like Court Overstreet, actually. I totally had the wrong name. I got there eventually. Yeah, Court Overstreet was in that, and that was not good. It felt like it was made for like 100,000 and I don't know, lunch money. But the second movie, Irish Wish, the budget increased a little bit. She went from having Court Overstreet to having Ed Spielers opposite her, the guy from Aragon. So I guess a step up. And now we're at this third movie where the film feels a little bit more like an actual film, and we actually have some supporting people popping up here, like Kristin Chenoweth, Tim Meadows, Chris Parnell, Judy Reyes, and Henry Czerny. So there's actually like they paid like a supporting cast to support her, but her male co-lead is Ian something from Chicago Med. I I don't mean to slight Chicago Med. The show's been running for like 10 seasons. This dude could be the lead of it, and he might be like Chicago Med fans could be like really excited for this, like living for this moment for Ian. Like this could be a huge step up for him. But for Lindsay, she needs to continue the upward momentum of having better actors opposite her. This guy came across as like Diet Zachary Levi to me. Like I wanted Zachary Levi to be in this movie, and then he wasn't, and it was this guy instead. And this movie is barely a Christmas movie, actually, to be totally honest. It just happens to take place around Christmas time with some fleeting references to Christmas every once in a while. Like they go to church around Christmas time. There's a joke about fair weather Christians, meaning Christians that come in for the, like Christmas and Easter and stuff like that, not on the reg. They always have like an increased boom around Christmas Eve. People who go like once a year or twice a year if you go on Christmas and Easter. And so you get an idea that it has to be, but there's also no reason it couldn't also be at Easter, because it would also work for that, because there are a lot of people who come just for Easter or for Christmas and Easter. So, I mean, like they have like a Christmas tree, they go to like a Christmas tree farm and pick it out, but it never feels like there's a magic of Christmas here in this movie. It's basically just Lindsay Lohan is 10 years ago in 2014. We opened with like an animated sequence. So it's like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, where the most interesting thing is like right at the beginning of the movie with this like quirky little animated sequence. And then Lindsay's having not a great time in her life. Her dad is played by Henry Czerny, and Ian is like her best friend and maybe something more, but this is also like her mom just died and he thinks this is like the best time to propose. And he jumps right in there. Nope. Immediately rejected. And then we go through a montage of 10 years, which is the weirdest thing. And it's set to like, it felt like it was set to like the poor man's version of We Didn't Start the Fire. And the funny thing about this is, other than like a couple of audible references to like Elon's like shitty truck thing, like when he threw the ball at the glass and it shattered, he's like, the glass won't shatter. There were a couple of things that were like audible. I have no idea what was in this. The audio description on this just there's audio description because it's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. Sorry, I should have said that up at the top. But um, the audio description on this is very spotty. It's post house, and it's like, for some reason it gives this thing the grace, and I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck is happening. Like, there's no this is not dialogue. This is not dialogue. Nothing is happening here. You do not need to give the song grace. Go ahead and talk over it, man. Just duck the damn thing and tell me what the fuck is on screen, because this means nothing to me. This is like a, like, I don't know, a minute to 2 minutes of of flashing through time. And it felt like forever because I was like, I don't know what any of this is. Every once in a while, somebody would say something. I'd be like, oh yeah. It would be like something like audible. But honestly, I would have much rather preferred an audio description to not be just left there going, is the movie coming back? Then the movie comes back and we're in 2024. And Lindsay Lohan's dating a tool. And the other guy, Logan, is, I don't know, doing something else with his life. He's dating somebody too. And what ends up happening is hijinks. They're dating siblings. So they end up at the same like family Christmas party as the others. Like the guy Lindsay is dating is the brother of the girl that Logan is dating. So, and then the matriarch of this family is Kristin Chenoweth, who is a bright spot in this movie, even though she seems bored out of her mind. She's been better before in everything. I hate to accuse her because I think she gave a decent performance here, but honestly, this feels like she's cashing a paycheck. Like, she's like, I got paid and I'm here. I mean, there are a couple times where she has, where she lets her comedic genius come out and the film works. But even in those moments, I'm like, you've gone bigger before and you've been more sassy in your dialogue. I mean, like, thinking about, this is releasing almost at the same time that she has that, Wicked, her legacy is in theaters. And I think about her as Glinda, and it's like, or Galinda, and you're just like, this is not the same thing, The bubbliness that she brings to Galinda, especially in a song like Popular, and the sassiness and everything in What Is This Feeling and stuff, and songs like that, they just don't resonate. There's nothing here. There's a couple of moments where she perks up and has a little bit of fun with the part. But there are also some lines that it's like she delivers it and she's like, I said it. I said my line. That was my line. I was giving it. And for the most part, it kind of feels like most of the cast, like Tim Meadows is not really doing anything specific here. Anything that I'm like, wow, cool. Chris Parnell plays a doctor, like a veterinarian in this, who's in this for like a hot second, and he, comes and goes. It's, once again, this is another movie that Netflix has made that they've invested very little money in, and they're putting mostly on the shoulders of Lindsay Lohan, and it's a very sort of like mediocre script. They've just given her a little bit more money every time. Like, the first movie was incredibly low budget. The second movie, Irish Wish, felt more a little. The first movie didn't feel like I don't even know what it felt like. It felt like the worst TV movie. You know, like it felt like the lowest budgeted TV movie that you could have had. Second movie, Irish Witch, finally felt like a normally budgeted TV movie. And this one is starting to feel a little bit more like how Netflix budgets their movies of the week. Like this is a little bit more on par with Brooke Shields' like Mother of the Year or Mother of the Bride or whatever that film was called earlier this year. This film feels like it had about the same budget as that and about the same level of writing and staff and everything. So she's incrementally getting more and more attention in her films. But at the same time, they're not really getting any better. And she really needs, what she needs is she needs people to bounce off of her in the way that she's always had before. You know, Lindsay Lohan by herself never really anchored a movie in a productive way. When you think about Lindsay Lohan and her career before, you look at, okay, well, where was she? Where it was basically just her, and you're like, I Know Who Killed Me. You know, every other film, she always had really talented people to work with, whether it was Dennis Quaid and Natasha Richardson in The Parent Trap, whether or not it was, you know, I mean, the My God cast of Mean Girls, which at the time didn't seem like they were going to, but that cast ended up producing, you know, Rachel McAdams. She had Tina Fey. She had, again, Tim Meadows. She had Amanda Seyfried. You know, there was a solid writing cast, director there. Everything worked for Mean Girls. Freaky Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis. She was bouncing stuff off of Jamie Lee Curtis. Fuck, even Georgia Rule, she's bouncing off of Jane Fonda, you know? So, Confessions of a Teen Drama Queen, Megan Fox. I mean, she's always got somebody to bounce stuff off of. And here Kristin isn't giving her, and the film isn't even directed for Lindsay to be constantly at. This isn't like Monster-in-Law, where Jennifer Lopez and Jane Fonda are going against each other. No, this is still a rom-com, so Kristin Chenoweth is taking a back seat and has very little interaction with Lindsay Lohan. So if this had been a Lindsay Lohan, Kristin Chenoweth movie, I think this would have been a lot funnier. If they had just jettisoned Logan from the movie and just gone with, she's coming here to impress the mom, and then it just put Lindsay Lohan against Kristin Chenoweth, that movie would be funnier than what they actually did here. There's a desire to make every single Christmas movie some sort of like horrible rom-com. And you can still do that by giving her a boyfriend that's not an asshat and having him bring her home for this thing. And maybe the whole opening sequence is about her level of commitment. She wasn't ready to commit then, but she's ready to commit now. Or is she, you know, like maybe she's a little bit of runaway bride type of thing there. We never need to go back to visit Logan ever. He does not need to be in this movie, because the person who would have pushed Lindsay the most is Kristin Chenoweth. The person who would have done the most for her in this movie and sold a movie would have been Kristin Chenoweth. And I know that wasn't the script, but somebody needed to look at this film and go, I have Guy from Chicago Med, or I have Kristin Chenoweth. Like, who do I think is going to be a better scene partner for Lindsay Lohan? And immediately go into rewrites for the script, because while Guy from Chicago Med is kind of like milquetoast, he doesn't really do anything for Lindsay, and Lindsay needs better movies on Netflix. He has, I'm sure, plenty of other TV stars that are willing to do Christmas movies with him on like Great American Family. But Lindsay it's like she's on probation, like film probation, where she has to do all these shitty movies so somebody will let her do a real movie. Like, people are like watching her like Netflix career, and they're like, we just need to make sure she's not still an addict and anything. We just need to make sure, you know, that she's got her stuff together before we let her do any real movies. But she doesn't really get to showcase herself if she's never up against anybody who actually matches her skill and talent. So there's only just so much she can do, there's just so much. And it's so frustrating because for the first time, I actually see somebody who I'm like, okay, so there's somebody that could actually match Lindsay Lohan blow for blow, and they could actually go at it. Kristin Chenoweth has the energy, has the acting chops to be able to do this, but instead she's stuck in this weird role where it feels like she's somehow the antagonist, even though she's stuck in a rom-com where Lindsay Lohan is eventually going to end up with somebody who's not even related to her. So it's like, what is the point? What is the point of any of this? So it's a very odd movie, and I really wanted to I really do. Every time I watch a Lindsay Lohan movie, I'm like, please, God, please let this one be good. Please. Can we get her out of film jail? Um, and this one was so close. It's like you almost realized what works. And you almost realize the fact that Lindsay Lohan works best when she's able to bounce stuff off of like a great scene partner. And instead of giving her these guys that just lack everything, they're not even like comedic actors. Like Ed Spielers and Court Overstreet aren't really known for being funny, and this guy's on Chicago Med. Like, he might be a good actor on Chicago Med. He might be a great doctor on Chicago Med, but he's not known for comedy. You know, I hate to say it, but when I said like he felt like a poor man's, Zachary Levi would have been a lot funnier here. I've seen him do funny before, so feeling that he has a lot more grounded work in comedy. And even though I don't think he's ready to do a Netflix movie, maybe he will be. Eventually, you never know. Harold and the Purple Crayon didn't exactly set the world on fire at the box office. So, I don't know. Please, the next Lindsay Lohan movie, just please put her with somebody. You almost did it. It doesn't have to, she doesn't always have to be in a rom-com. It doesn't have to be a guy. It can be formatted a little bit like Monster Law, where the person that she's going against is not a dude, just like it was in Georgia Rule. I mean, eventually, basically, that movie's her versus Jane Fonda. I know Georgia Rule is the best movie ever. It's a weird movie to use as an example, but watch the 3 Netflix movies Lindsay Lohan has made, and then Georgia Rule will seem like it should have been nominated for Best Picture. So everything is relative now. It's like now you watch these 3 movies and you want to go back and like apologize to Georgia Rule and be like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. At the time, I thought I was wrong. I apologize. Not the best Lindsay Lohan movie, but certainly not the worst. Yeah. I just don't know that this movie's going to do anything for anybody. And it's also barely a Christmas movie. Like, it doesn't have any of the Christmas magic. And it has a very obvious ending where it's going to. And it's one of those movies where it's a rom-com, so obviously, like, the boyfriend she's with has to be an asshat so she can leave him, so she can go back to Logan, which is we know is going to happen because Logan's the charming one who's coming in clutch all the time while the boyfriend is not, and he's on, I don't know, it's very obvious where this movie's headed. There's one funny segment with a dog, and yeah, that's it. That was funny. Otherwise, the rest of it is just Lindsay Lohan trying to be charming. Kristin Chenoweth doing mostly good work here, but every once in a while she threw a line, and I was like, you could have done. I know. Listen, Kristin, I loved GCB. Like, I know your career fairly well. I can tell when you are bored. She seems kind of bored. And I think one of the things that could have solved that would have been if she had more screen time opposite Lindsay Lohan instead of, I don't know, some of the random people they have in this movie. So, yeah. The audio description of this film was fine at the beginning. I actually really like the fact that because the opening is animated, and then obviously we transition to a live action movie, it actually said that. Like, it just, in case you thought Our Little Secret was going to be an animated movie, it actually makes the point to say, now, live action. And I was like, oh, thank you. I never thought that people wouldn't have figured that out, but I appreciate that. So it had like little moments where I was like, oh, that's really good audio description. But then it had these long moments where I was like, where's the audio? Where? And I know it's like conversational, but it does feel like they didn't find any, like, sometimes you find like a little beat where you're like, she looks surprised, like, and it's just like 3 words. And it just lets me know that the narrator didn't pass the fuck out, like, because there are those little beats. There are little beats even in these highly conversational, most of the time, where you can throw in something like, she gasps, she smiles, she, like, I mean, there are little beats where you can throw in, where you have enough time to use a couple syllables to create, to continue to create the experience, because audio description is there to support. If you abandon me for an entire scene, like, not great, So this is not one of my favorite audio description tracks, although um, I will give it props, because it was something I hadn't thought of. And I was like, you know what? There might have been somebody out there who thought the rest of the movie was animated. Would be weird, but for that person, I'm really glad that we, locked it in and let people know that we're transitioning from the animated opening uh, title card sequence to the live action movie. So thank you for the clutch audio description on that. Um, I don't know what to do with this movie. I like it because of Lindsay Lohan, and that's about it. And some points to Kristin Chenoweth. The rest of the movie, including some actors I like. Chris Parnell's fine, but he's only in like one scene, so it's really hard to like rave about him. But he does exactly what you would expect Chris Parnell to do in that scene, like perfectly. Chris Parnell right down the road. I would say Henry Czerny, because he plays so many bad guys over the years. I was pleasantly surprised to see him not play one. So, although it's tough when you cast somebody who consistently plays, or has played so many villains throughout his career as like the warm and fuzzy father, it just doesn't really quite land the way that you think it would. But I think he tried. He tried really hard. Yeah, to me, he was like, wait, me? You want me to play the? Okay, well, I'm gonna use my range. Let's try to play good guy, play father now. um, yeah. So I'll give Our Little Secret a C. Yeah, it's basically, I think I've given it the same grade. As it's like the same grade as Irish Wish. Um, and mainly because this one could have been a lot better too. There's some stuff here that works, but not much. So the fact that nobody thought to connect Lindsay Lohan to Kristin Chenoweth and just be like, well, let's write Logan out of the movie. I mean, like, I would have seen that in casting phase, been like, oh, Kristin said yes? Can we do a script rewrite? Like, can we bring them, can we boost this film and make it more about them? And because, I mean, that feels like a movie to me. Lindsay Lohan and Kristin Chenoweth in Our Little Secret, like, that feels like a movie. This just doesn't. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.